One song changed Susan Boyle's life. She was the first female internet sensation to break the internet. But who is this wonderful woman? In Britain's Got Talent, Susan Boyle is one of the most memorable performers. She broke records online in 2009 with her audition video, which had more views than President Obama's inauguration. Millions saw her perform, shooting her to prominence. Susan Boyle has since sold 25 million albums, accumulated 250 million audio streams, had 650 million YouTube hits, been nominated for 2 Grammys, and broken 3 Guinness World Records. At her peak, she disappeared from the public spotlight. The film reveals the terrible reason for her disappearance and the events that followed. Susan Boyle's childhood wasn't glamorous like many singers. Born in Blackburn, West Lothian, to Patrick and Bridget Boyle, as the youngest of 10 children, fame never entered her life. Boyle's rise from obscurity to global renown is a tale of brilliance, victory, and unanticipated obstacles. Her tale started humbly, but her tremendous voice and presence soon captivated the world. Her Britain's Got Talent audition showed her brilliance, humility, and sincerity. She made an immediate and lasting impression. Her tale and song touched everyone. Despite her rapid success, Boyle experienced many personal and professional obstacles. She left the spotlight due to pressure and vulnerability. Watch this film to learn about Susan Boyle's ups and downs. From her Britain's Got Talent breakthrough to her sad withdrawal, her narrative is one of resilience and hope. Learn how Susan Boyle, a Scottish woman from a small town, inspired people worldwide. Her father, Patrick Boyle, was a miner and World War II veteran. Bridget, Susan's mother, worked as a shorthand typist, a rare job for women, to support their big family. As immigrants from Donegal, Ireland, they encountered additional hurdles. These humble beginnings and her family's complexity affected Susan's upbringing. Susan faced hardship from the start. Her mother was 45 when she was born, causing problems. The doctors predicted Bridget's age would doom her. Bridget's Catholic faith and determination got her through the dangerous childbirth. Unfortunately, Susan's traumatic birth caused a temporary oxygen deprivation, which caused a lifelong learning handicap. Susan was deeply influenced by Patrick Boyle. He sang at the Bishop's Blaze and found comfort in music despite his minor and war veteran struggles. Young Susan admired him as a hero and role model because of his infectious passion of music. However, Patrick's influence on Susan was multifaceted. His tight discipline sometimes strained their connection. In an interview with The Guardian, Susan recalled her father with respect and trepidation, admitting his dual impact on her life. Her mother's consistent support and her father's musical influence impacted Susan's childhood. Bridget's motivation and hard work kept the family afloat. Her parents' passion and sacrifices gave Susan tenacity that would help her succeed in singing. School was especially difficult for her. Susan was bullied and felt lonely due to her learning problem. Despite these challenges, music gave her strength and escape. Susan practiced singing in the church choir and at local events, believing her voice might lead to a better life. Susan's passion of music grown with age. Her father's local concerts inspired her to regard music as her calling, not just a hobby. The path to success was difficult. Skepticism and rejection plagued her early music industry attempts. People thought she was a normal girl from a little village, unaware of her gift. Susan auditioned for Britain's Got Talent in 2009, inspired by her mother's unshakable faith in her. The judges and audience were skeptical. Everything changed when she sang I Dreamed a Dream from Les Miserables. Her stunning voice and heartfelt performance made her famous worldwide. The audition video broke records and outranked President Obama's inauguration. Millions worldwide fell in love with Susan Boyle overnight. Her debut album, I Dreamed a Dream, topped charts and sold millions, cementing her music career. Fame had its drawbacks. She was overwhelmed by media attention and celebrity pressures. Susan battled with public scrutiny and childhood trauma despite her accomplishments. She reluctantly left the spotlight during the height of her fame to escape the constant scrutiny. This film follows Susan Boyle from her humble beginnings to her stratospheric climb to popularity and her unexpected retreat. It examines her parents' tremendous influence, her learning disabilities problems, and her resilience to overcome all odds. Inspiration and perseverance characterize Susan Boyle. Despite many challenges, she became a symbol of optimism and proof that aspirations can come true regardless of background. Her story inspires millions and reminds us to never give up on our aspirations. Susan Boyle vividly described her father's World War II service as a Royal Engineers Sergeant Major, his mining work, and his latter career as a British Leyland storeman. She treasured seeing him depart for work in his boiler suit each morning. Susan's childhood grief came from the man behind these fond recollections. She opened up to the Daily Mail about her complicated father-daughter connection. Though good, he possessed a fiery temper. As the youngest of 10 children, Susan often faced his wrath. She said he was violent in his wrath. The Daily Mail sought confirmation of the shocking revelation. Susan's close family friend verified her father's heavy-handedness. Susan seemed to agree that his abuse was caused by combat veteran PTSD. Susan supported her relatives' claim that her father didn't mean to hurt her despite the abuse. Susan began the tough process of forgiving after her father died in 1997. It was the hardest decision she ever made, but she chose to forgive him and go forward, she told the Daily Mail. Susan's childhood was an odd mix of good and bad. Her father's love and torment shaped her. His influence drove her music enthusiasm, but left profound emotional scars. Susan's strength and perseverance allow her to forgive and move forward. Susan often felt neglected in her large family. Bullies targeted her because of her learning problem, and her teacher's indifference made matters worse. She found sanctuary in music to escape her tough daily life. Singing in the church choir or at local events helped her polish her skills and dream of a better future. Her history haunted her as she pursued her ambition. Susan's path to popularity was difficult. Skepticism and rejection plagued her early music industry attempts. Her amazing potential was overlooked by many due to her humble origins and quiet demeanor. She got her big break in 2009 when she auditioned for Britain's Got Talent. Her performance of I Dreamed a Dream from Les Miserables wowed the crowd. Her performance went viral, winning millions of hearts and making her famous. Rapid celebrity pressured him despite his quick success. Media scrutiny and public expectations overwhelmed Susan, who struggled to adjust to her new life. At the height of her career, she reluctantly left the spotlight to find peace. This film follows Susan Boyle from her humble beginnings to her stratospheric climb to stardom and her reasons for retiring from the public light. It examines her parents' tremendous influence, her learning disabilities problems, and her resilience to overcome all odds. Inspiration and perseverance characterize Susan Boyle. Despite many challenges, she became a symbol of optimism and proof that aspirations can come true, regardless of background. Her story inspires millions and reminds us to never give up on our aspirations. As she lives outside the spotlight, Susan inspires courage and tenacity. Her determination to forgive her father, overcome obstacles, and achieve her goals is remarkable. Susan Boyle's music and narrative affect people worldwide, illustrating that it's never too late to find your voice and express it. Susan Boyle also said she had to face her sad past. Forgiving her father and classmates who caused her sorrow was difficult. Susan needed a new focus, something other than her past suffering, and she turned to school. Susan found it harder to forgive everyone than she expected, especially since her peers and professors had injured her. Susan described her childhood bullying in a Daily Mirror interview. Early brain injury made learning difficult for Susan. Because of this nickname, her peers taunted her and named her Susie Simple for her supposed stupidity. Her teachers did little to help her, and the bullying was persistent. The teachers who were supposed to safeguard Susan urged Susan to stay silent or beat her with a belt when she sought to report the bullies. Susan told the Daily Mirror that her learning disability hindered her schoolwork. She regularly fell behind in school and extracurriculars. Susan, a slow learner, struggled since the education system rewarded fast learners. Lack of participation in lectures and activities further isolated her from her peers. Despite these challenges, Susan found music comforting. She used it to escape criticism and focus on what she loved. She badly needed purpose and belonging, so she sang in the church choir and performed at local festivals. Although the chances were against her, her father's love of music and his local performances pushed her to pursue her ambition. Susan's resilience and resolve grew with age. She knew she could sing and wanted to prove it to the world and those who held her in contempt. Susan's determination helped her overcome rejections and difficulties on her path to popularity. Susan's life changed in 2009 when she auditioned for Britain's Got Talent. Her performance of I Dreamed a Dream from Les Miserables wowed the judges and crowd, launching her career. The audition video broke records and captivated millions. Susan Boyle was finally famous. However, celebrity brought new obstacles. The sudden media attention overwhelmed Susan, and she battled with her new existence. Her adjustment into a world far different from her humble beginnings was difficult. Susan released records and performed worldwide despite these challenges. Susan's tale shows endurance and forgiveness. From her horrific birth and learning handicap to her teachers' bullying and lack of support, she endured much suffering. She overcame her difficulties by using her gift to heal and move forward. Forgiving her attackers was difficult, but Susan knew that holding on to anger and bitterness would keep her back. She transformed her life and inspired millions with her voice and story by letting go of the past and focusing on the future. The rise of Susan Boyle from a small-town kid with a difficult background to a worldwide singing star is remarkable. Her achievement shows that you can achieve your dreams no matter where you come from or what you've been through. Her tale inspires and uplifts, showing that strength, determination, and faith can achieve anything. She said she was often punished for her illness, which hurt her. Bullying felt like power over her. She also felt helpless because she didn't know how to help herself, especially when her teachers shut her down. Thankfully, that changed. She later discovered that her physicians had misdiagnosed her as a child and that she didn't have a brain injury. Her later diagnosis by another doctor verified Asperger's syndrome, not brain injury. Her IQ was above average. Tragically, her childhood bullying was justified by lies. It made the encounter worse. Susan told the Daily Mirror that her classmates' and teachers' insults caused permanent wounds and bruises. She admitted that her discipline for discipline's sake still affects her, family life and nurturing talents. Her helplessness led her to find her fondness for distracting activities. She discovered her affinity for acting to cope with her father's abuse. She said she played with toys and imaginary companions then. Playing with her dolls made her feel like she had a more caring and supportive family. Music captivated her at 12. Ironically, her family was the inspiration. Susan joined school musicals at 12 since they were all music lovers. Her peers and teachers saw her talent and encouraged her to keep singing, which she did. After graduating high school, she sang in school and church, but she had little requirements for government training. She was a West Lothian College cook trainee. In her spare time, she performed in karaoke bars, church choirs, and the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. She soon returned to acting, her first love. Susan auditioned for My Kind of People in 1995. She failed, abandoned acting, and returned to singing, her true passion. She recorded her West Lothian school version of Cry Me a River for a local charity compact disc to celebrate the millennium 4 years later. Many praised it. Amber McNaught of the West Lothian Herald and Post wrote that her performance of Cry Me a River was so terrible that she has played it on repeat in her CD player since buying it. The accolades drove her to spend all her savings on additional professional demo cassettes. At Mid-Lothian's Heartbeat Studio, she recorded Killing Me Softly and Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. She sent these records to labels, radio, TV, and talent competitions. But rejections and dismissals faded her dream. After her father died in 1997, things stalled. Her mixed sentiments and pain prevented her from concentrating by then. She described that time as heartbreaking. She was more devastated because she witnessed his death. She claimed she kissed his hair and bid him farewell, expecting his death before it happened. The fallout was hard on their family and changed her home's relationships. Susan was grieved by her mother's loss of her 1936 husband, and Susan was close to her. She says her world broke then. Death remained in her home, and her sister died a year later. The tragic loss devastated Susan, who took a long break from work. Only after 2 years did she resume professional singing lessons. Fred O'Neill taught her professional singing. She then joined her local church's pilgrimages to Knock Shrine, County Mayo, Ireland, and sang at the Marian Basilica. She recorded more for local performances and charity, but her celebrity remained local. Bridget Boyle dies. This upset her mother, Bridget. Bridget encourages Susan to apply to Britain's Got Ability and other major competitions after seeing her daughter's remarkable ability. Susan decided to stay with her mother and care for her while working in town due to age. She didn't mind because she was close to her mother. They were great friends because of their close friendship. Susan was her mother's primary caregiver till her death in her childhood home. So, when her mother died, she was devastated. Susan said she was sent to the hospital for dehydration the day of her death and lost consciousness. She said she looked like a corpse. She saw only her body, not her mother. Susan could feel her mother's death coming, but it didn't help. She was lovely, compassionate, and articulate. She was inconsolable because the pain was excruciating. She saw her mother take her last breath while holding her hand. Susan found it strange to witness her kind, gentle mother, whom she loved, die. She saw her mother smile one more time and described it as seeing her in limbo, her own universe. However, these sweet recollections did not ease her suffering throughout the disaster. Since her only friend died, she was depressed and lonely. She was also numb and unaware of her surroundings. Susan got much more isolated after her mother's death. Susan was left alone in their home after her mother left after all her life. Panic attacks led to her not eating or sleeping well. Her health declined, and she was nearly rotting when her neighbors intervened. They visited her relatives after Susan hadn't left her house for 4 days. That call saved Susan's life as her 8 siblings and family arrived to save her. She healed with their help and revealed much about her mother's memories. Susan admitted that a few years ago, she would have been too distraught, but she has since improved. She wrote a touching letter to her fans on Mother's Day after her mother's death. She wished all mothers worldwide. She then wrote a touching tribute to her mother. She thanked her mother for raising her siblings well. Susan admits that her love and caring for shaped her adult self. Fame and talent in Britain. Susan's exceptional future was determined by her mother. She started saving for Susan's new carpets and clothes before she got sick. She also encouraged Susan to sing professionally. Susan initially took her advice and applied for the X Factor, but she dropped out at the last minute. Her voice instructor, Fred O'Neill, said it was sad because of her stage fright and worried that she was too old to participate. Still, her mom encouraged her to pursue music professionally. She even threatened Susan that she wouldn't be around long and wouldn't see her perform at that rate. She delivered on her promise. Susan quit singing and her career after her mom died. She didn't sing in church, taverns, or other spots she usually did. Susan auditioned after over 2 years of relentless coaxing from her instructor. Susan said she wanted to be a musician to honor her mother, who only wanted that for her. Beautiful things began here. At a preliminary audition, her voice impressed evaluators. Shortly after, she was dispatched to the 3000-person Clyde Auditorium public tryout in Glasgow. Susan lived alone with her cat, Pebbles, as an unemployed charity worker. She was anxious because she hadn't sung in public in 2 years, unlike the other finalists. She had a voice advantage over everyone else. Her early audition voice impressed Simon so much that he talked about Susan weeks before her audition aired. Finally airing on April 11th, 2009, it did not disappoint. Susan Boyle, a shy, middle-aged woman, performed on Britain's Got Talent without much backing. Susan seemed unmoved by the audience's laughter. She sang, "I Dreamed a Dream" from Les Miserables. Her impeccable tones enchanted the audience and made faces drop. Judge Amanda Holden called it one of the best stage voices. She also noted Susan's confidence, saying she carried herself to the platform, knowing her voice could blow minds. Morgan and Simon, the other judges, agreed that if she was the only performer that day, the program would have been complete since she captured the audience and became a celebrity. Success for Susan. Soon after, Susan became famous overnight. Her audition, which everyone believed was a disaster, got global notice. It aired on U.S. morning shows and won her an Oprah interview. The internet buzzed about her. Just her audition YouTube video has over 233 million views. Soon, Patti LuPone, Demi Moore, and Ashton Kutcher saw her potential. Her face was a constant on Britain's Got Talent, and everyone thought she would win, which took a physical and mental toll on Susan. She said she collapsed from fear of losing and going home with nothing. But she didn't have to start over after the program. She was famous. I Dreamed a Dream on the CBS Early Show was her first American TV appearance after the tournament ended that month. Just months later, she returned to the U.S. to promote her first album, I Dreamed a Dream. Released the same month, the record was an instant hit. Her debut album was the fastest-selling UK debut album ever. outselling the top 5 albums in its first week. Over 411,000 copies were sold in the first month. That record helped Susan's music career and won Scot of the Year at the Glenfiddich Spirit of Scotland Awards in December 2009. It also inspired Susan to sing a duet with the song's creator. At the Glamis prom, she sang with Elaine Paige and gushed about her idol's voice. After her second album, The Gift, was released on November 8, 2010, Susan rose even further. That year, she won the Scots Care Scot of the Year award for her massive album sales. The same year, she was nominated for a People's Choice Award for Best U.S. Breakout Artist. She keeps winning Juno Awards nominations, including Best International Album. Susan Boyle won a Gold Disc Award as Japan's top international artist after many nominations. She became more influential after receiving the Golden Chinese Music Award for Most Influential International Artist in China. She surprised everyone with the World Music Award for UK Best-Selling Artist. Her international success continued with an REA Award nomination for Most Popular International Artist. Susan was nominated for 2 Grammys to cap her remarkable career. She garnered 2 Billboard Magazine Award nominations and the Scottish Variety Awards Outstanding Achievement Award. In 2010, Time magazine named Susan the 7th most influential person in the world, 14 places ahead of then-President Barack Obama. By September of the same year, Guinness World Records recognized her as the oldest artist to reach #1, with a debut album in both the US and UK, fastest-selling album by a UK female act, and most successful first-week UK debut album sales. Academic institutions felt her effect. Susan received an honorary doctorate from Edinburgh's Queen Margaret University in 2012 for her work in the creative sectors. She earlier earned a Certificate of Higher Education in Caring. She received an honorary doctorate in music from the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland in 2015. Susan Boyle's career has beyond her greatest ambitions, making her a remarkable and important figure in music and beyond. 8 of her albums have topped the charts in over 40 countries. Over 25 million copies and 128 platinum and gold album certifications have been sold. She also toured extensively, promoting her music to fans worldwide. Her first tour with Britain's Got Potential finalists in 2009 showed only part of her talent. Susan Boyle in Concert was her 2013 tour. It ended in 2014. She returned for the 10 tour in 2020. Now where's Susan? She has been mostly absent from screens since. Fans were worried when she disappeared from music and social media. No one had heard from her, and she didn't hint at her break. That continued until she appeared on Britain's Got Talent 3 years later. Susan revealed she had a stroke the year before while playing I Dreamed a Dream at their June 2023 special event. She told the host that she spent her time away striving for her recovery to return to the stage. She shared her 2022 experiences on Instagram to inform her followers. Susan was sick before this. Her 2009 admission from Britain's Got Talent's emotional and physical hardship was the first sign. Susan was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome in 2013, a developmental disorder on the autistic spectrum that affects social interaction and communication. It was an improvement from her toddler's brain injury diagnosis. In 2013, Susan told The Observer that she thought saying she was brain wounded was unjust because she wasn't seriously disabled. Only her communication skills were lacking. Unfortunately, her sickness caused a public meltdown at Heathrow Airport in 2016. It was so bad that officials were called to deal with a woman in distress. Her brother Jerry, whom she hadn't spoken to in 2 years, received a terrifying voicemail that episode. In a previous dispute about money, he threatened to kill himself if Susan didn't give him $60,000. Their breakup made headlines for years, which upset Susan. However, her inability to communicate caused her airport meltdown that day. Susan seems to be struggling with loneliness in addition to these illnesses. She told the Daily Mail about her adoption goals. She said she couldn't have children, but wanted to share her love. She chose adoption because of that. She wanted to adopt an impoverished child. She tried to make the youngster happy and comfortable in her modest dwelling. Susan wanted to fill her vacant childhood house with life. Only Susan and her cat Pebbles lived in her large childhood home. She refused to go despite her wealth. Susan began planning her property empire in 2015, according to Forbes. Instead of moving, she bought the house next door to unite the 2 plots and build her dream home. Susan nearly had the posh house, a $400,000 villa her friends called. The house plans failed because Susan preferred her childhood home to that grandeur. Susan never married because she was too busy working and caring for her mother. She said she'd never been married or kissed during her Britain's Got Talent audition. Susan found love and started dating at 53. She told the Daily Mail that she briefly had a lover in her 20s and wanted to marry him. Her dad ended it because he didn't think she was ready for love. In 2014, she was thrilled to share her second chance at romance. Susan Boyle recounted her falling in love with a handsome American doctor. Their love was doomed from the start due to impracticalities, leaving Susan deeply hurt but determined. She has focused on her health since 2014, when she was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Susan decided to lose weight and cut sugar to enhance her health. She started walking more and going to the gym minutes from home. Her determination helped her lose 30 pounds and increase her self-esteem. Susan stays close to her roots despite her success. She strives to live modestly out of dread of relapsing to her old ways of need. She told the Sunday Post that memories of sitting in darkness because she couldn't afford energy bills inspire her to live humbly. Susan's goals are basic but significant. She prioritizes solid relationships with friends and family, enjoys her wealth without frills, and never worries about gas or electric expenses again. Her humility and tenacity in the face of fame and money inspire. Do you agree with Susan's health and modesty choices? Comment our ideas below. Thank you for watching. Click the video to see more great stories. Thanks for watching our video. If you like this deep dive into today's topic and want to see more fascinating material, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. We value your feedback, so please leave it below. See you next time for more thoughts and discussions. Keep exploring, learning, and sharing till then. Thanks for joining our community.